I don't have a pun, so let's just do a ukulele riff. So let me explain you a thing. This book is the most fraudulent book of any series that I've ever read, and particularly this book in particular. Wow, sentence structure, who needs that anymore? Let's classify this video more as a rant than a review because I have pretty much nothing good to say about this. I might think of something later on, but for now, let's just say this was awful. So just a disclaimer, I did like the second book. What you're about to hear is just me ranting about the ending of this series because I didn't like the third book. But keep in mind, I was liking the second book, so this is just my opinion. I am, however, characteristically not a very mean person deep in my heart, so I could not give it 1 star just because I felt like it deserved some credit. And although this was pretty bad, it wasn't the rock bottom, so therefore I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads, and here is my explanation why. From about page 50 in the first book, I was completely done with these characters. Kasia, Cassia, Kusa, let's call her Casserole, because literally every time I pronounce this, someone corrects me. So Casserole is completely psychotic. She's so bipolar, and I hate her as a main character so much, it's kind of painful for me to read in her perspective. So thank goodness that this was not completely in her perspective, because I would have died. She's so indecisive and so weak as a character that I don't think I would be able to handle her talking all at one time in a book this large. So thank the heavens that we have Xander to save the day. Throughout Matched, I was constantly angered by her being like so naive and small, and she was like, this world is so much more powerful than I am. And she was so scared of everything in her world that it was like, girl, this is a dystopian young adult novel. Every single person reading this book knows what you're gonna do. You're gonna break out of your shell, you're gonna take over the world, then you're gonna make everything better. Why are you so annoying about this? So on to the third book, we get a plague going. Plague, not plague, plague. And it's the most, I was like, really? Because I was just so disappointed. Out of all the things that could happen, of course it's a plague. So she probably ran out of ideas because the new young adult world is starting to see a lot of books about illnesses and plagues. So whenever she was like, yeah, they're all falling with sickness and the Rising is doing it because they want to control the people, that was just, the storyline was so stupid to me. Giving the people the illness and only having the means to help them by joining the new government was a pretty good idea. However, it was explained later on in the book that the society also had the cures, so it was so pointless. Oh my gosh, I was thoroughly disappointed. Then when Kai fell with the illness, it was just perfect opportunity for her and Xander to go canon. But you know what didn't happen? Little Mr. Sleeping Beauty had his little mistress waiting for her the whole time, and she was so freaking distracted by him that all she did, literally she did nothing in this book. It was all Xander, and Xander got no credit. Xander was the one who got the cure. He cured the mutation. He did, literally, I can't even think of stuff because my brain is so clouded with frustration right now, but pretty much all Casserole did, I can't even remember anything she contributed to this story other than being like, OMG Kai, let's make out. A huge letdown in this book was that the pilot was constantly, from the beginning of the whole series, he was supposed to be the savior. He was supposed to be so amazing and he would save everybody and he would bring this colony of strangulated people who were being lied to back together and make it a better country and make the society something better than it ever was. And really, the pilot was so controlling and mean and such a failure that I was just flabbergasted. I was waiting for the introduction of the pilot to be amazing and so spontaneous and possibly somebody that's one of the characters knew, and he was just a regular guy who was just throwing orders at people, but he didn't know what he was doing because he was so posed and fake, and it was, I don't even know what to say about him. I had so many expectations for this character that were just cut off as soon as we met him. I was like, oh, okay. The writing itself was nice. I probably would read something else of Allie Condie if she makes another series. It's just this particular story and this particular series, the characters are so annoying and the story is so fake and predictable that I just could not handle reading this for more than 2 hours at a time. And this is a very large book. This is about a 500-page book, and this took me like 5 days. And usually I can read a 500-page book. For example, The Evolution of Mara Dyer, about the same size. Actually, this one's a tiny bit bigger. I read this in 2 days. Do you see the comparison? This one drags so much because the whole story is focused on, okay, we have to make the Rising better, we have to make everybody love us, but we also can't be too controlling, and why is everybody dying, and someone make a cure, and Xander please save the day. So everything was so... I think half the reason I'm butthurt is because Xander ends up with some chick that we didn't even meet until this book, who was only in like 5 scenes prior to them falling in love. So being on Team Xander, which I don't even know if there's teams, but if there were, I'm Team Xander. I think it was incredibly annoying that he gets such a quick happy ever after, because I think Allie Condie was just being lazy, like, oh well, Casserole and Kai were supposed to be together from the beginning, so I guess we'll just throw in a new character for Xander to be with so that it can be fair and our fan base can be nice and controlled. That's even worse. I'd rather end the book with him being like, I guess we'll never love each other. It's nice to see you. I hope we can still be friends. Instead of him being like, it was great. I'm gonna go fly out over here into the new world and go kiss my new girlfriend and forget all about you. That is not what this book is about. Can we just stop doing? No, please stop. All I wanted was for her to acknowledge Xander in a more than friendly way the whole series. And she never does. And I was so amazed with Xander being as humble as he was, because in most love triangles, the second unloved guy is always like, I know you love me deep down, or if you could see how much of a good person I am, you wouldn't want to be with him. And he never once went that route. I think there was only one scene in this entire 500-page book where he said, so it's not going to work out, is it? So altogether, I think my thoughts are just jumbled about this still. I'm so glad it's over. I don't want anything to do with this. I'm probably never ever gonna reread it. I'm never gonna recommend it to somebody. I can't even.